Good evening, guys. This is something a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago, I started this show called "I Look Behind the Post," to do two things. One was to make me turn up and face my fear of actually being on camera, and the second was to help others to do the same. Whether you were in the Yellow Brick Road group, in my own group, or connected to any of us on social media, it's a fear that I've struggled with for 2 years, and I've certainly shied away from it. But I've always had the encouragement of my guest tonight, and even tonight has kind of pushed me to go live with this. Normally we pre-record them. So my good friend and mentor, Mark, the rhyme spitting machine, Crosby, has joined me live. So if you have any questions as we just waffle along, just drop them into the chat. How we doing, buddy?
Not too bad, Alan. Thanks very much. I think that should be my my new rap name, Mark the Rhyme Spitting Machine Crosby. Why didn't I think of that?
I don't know. It literally just came into my head there. That was one of those because I can't plan these things. Like I have to just wing it and hope for the best.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, that's what these shows are all about, and as I've spoke to you about, mate, and as we've just been talking about there as well, Joe Rogan is a massive inspiration for both of us, and we want to do something different, don't we? You know what I mean? We want to, obviously, I think because obviously, you say the focus of the shows is to help people break through the fear of being on camera so they can do videos and stuff like this. But I think when me and you talk, it's maybe a little bit different. Because what I want to do, I don't know if I know you do feel the same, is just have a bit of a conversation about other shit. You know what I mean? Not necessarily internet marketing and emails and sales funnels and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, well, for anyone watching, this is not about marketing. This is just us talking, and the show isn't really about marketing either. It's just jumping on and having a conversation. Myself and Mark like the kind of Joe Rogan style kind of podcasts. It's just something a little bit different. But it'd be nice if you're on, if you have anything you want to say, drop it in the chat and we'll have a chat with you. But,
definitely. And which is why, by the way, anyone watching, I'm having a beer. Because, one thing I say, I've said before in the YBR calls that we do every Wednesday, is, there's been, I've heard other people say before, if you're gonna come on these calls and stuff, don't be drinking. You know what I mean? Don't be drinking. And I remember thinking when I heard a specific leader say that, like, don't be drinking. And I it's not like I'm gonna be sitting getting pissed on a marketing call. You know what I mean? But I just remember thinking, everyone's a little bit different. I certainly didn't quit work in call centers for 12 years so I could sit in my little kitchen and follow rules. You know what I mean? And that's where I've had a bit of a difference with. And here we are talking about marketing straight away.
Yeah. Oh, it just happens. It just happens. But it does happen. Drinking is a very rare thing for me. Normally it's just at weddings, but because my good pal is on, I've decided to have a little triple just to celebrate.
Yeah, so, I know you're not much of a drinker, right? So I'm glad you joined us.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas. We'll call it our Christmas drink.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as I've said, Wednesdays are, because I like to, just settle the nerves a little bit for the YBR Wednesday call. So I'll always have a drink on a Wednesday, and I drink less at the weekends than I used to, shall we say. So it's nice of you to join me, mate.
No, you deserve it, pal, and thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. So one thing I did this week, as you know, is I was rapping live on Facebook, and it's straight. It was weird for me because obviously it was the first desktop Facebook Live I'd ever done. How weird is that? The first ever, talking about smashing through your comfort zone sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little bit nervous of doing these Facebook Lives. I don't think I'm going to bother. So I think what I'll do, break myself in nice and gently on the first one. I'll spit 32 bar verses.
Yeah, it goes. It's like 10, 15 minutes long.
No. Yeah, but it was weird, and because I don't know what it is, because we had just finished the YBR Wednesday call, and we had been talking about pushing yourself and just realizing where the edge of your comfort zone is, and just not even giving a shit and just breaking through it, weren't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just doing it. And I'll tell you, I haven't said this to anyone yet. I was sat in the kitchen. I was listening to music and stuff. Right? Actually, no, I wasn't. I was sat in the kitchen. I was listening to the radio. The radio's on, and there's a locally famous radio show on a night time up here in the northeast of England called Alan Robson's Night Owls. Okay, Night Owls it's called, and he's on from like 10 p.m. It'll be on right now. So he's been on every night for like 30 years or something like that, every single night. He's a bit of a local celebrity, Alan Robson. Metro Radio he works for, and he has these callers ring in, like, and some of them, you can imagine the type of calls he gets in the middle of the night, because it's from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Right.
And some of the people that he gets in, or some of them seem like they're just off their face on tablets or something, you know what I mean? He gets some really strange calls and stuff like that, but he gets the regulars in as well, and they're like local people with thick Geordie accents and stuff like this. But you do get the odd like really interesting call and stuff. And I know Alan Robson is big into aliens, right? He's like he's big into UFOs, and he does like shows specifically on aliens and stuff like this. But so it just hit us. I just thought to myself, I think I'm gonna ring in. I'm gonna ring in, and I'm gonna talk about aliens, sort of thing. So I wanted to like push myself. You know what I mean? I knew I was gonna do something.
Is this before you did the rap?
What was this before the rap?
Is this just before you did the rap? You're on the phone.
Well, I didn't do it. I knew it was going to be one or the other. I knew I wanted to do something that I had never done before and just push myself. You know what I mean? So I thought, and I was ready. I was Googling the number to ring and stuff like this. I was ready to ring in. And for one reason, I think I was listening to music for a bit, and it got to like 2 o'clock, and the show had obviously ended by the time I thought, right, I'm really going to go for it, which is why it sinks in with by 2:30. I was rapping live on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just thought, right, well, I've missed my window of opportunity to like really break through my comfort zone and ring in a local radio and talk about aliens. I suppose the next best thing I can do is just I'll have these lyrics locked in my head, and I'll spit them up like pretty much every day. Just I'll be walking to the shop or whatever. I'll be waiting in the schoolyard for Megan to come out, and they'll be going over. And it just I like to be busy all the time, and when I'm standing waiting around, I'll just do lyrics in my head or think of rhymes or whatever. So that's how it all came about, mate. And I'm so happy that I did actually.
It was pretty epic to be fair.
Well, I'm pleased you say so. Like, because I wasn't too sure. Because obviously on my Facebook account, my marketing Facebook account, there's people from all over the world and stuff like this, and there's loads of different types of music and loads of different walks of life, and you know what I mean. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to do it anyway. But I really didn't even expect that. I think I got like 30 likes or whatever. I expected like about 10 or 15 likes, because I remember just thinking, like, the vast majority of people are not even going to know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They're not going to really get what it is I'm talking about, or even understand or anything like that. But I'm just quite happy with myself that I didn't balls up. I didn't make a mistake. You know what I mean? I didn't, because I thought what was going to happen, and it happens sometimes when you be, especially like in a group of your friends or something, and they want to know your lyrics. You'll get like a bit of a moment where your mind goes completely blank in the middle of a verse, and you're like, oh well, that's the end of it. Then I can't remember the rest, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I honestly thought that was going to happen. I'm actually quite surprised I made it through to the end. So.
No, well, do you think because it was so late at night that you were like, anyone important's probably in bed?
Well, it was the beer definitely helps. You know what I mean? I was on a bit of a high just from the call, and I think the music as well. Music is a massive energy booster for me.
Yeah,
definitely. Do you ever do that, Alan? Do you ever? Ever listen to?
I do sing, but I sing soppy songs, it's a true story,
No, well, I've heard one of them. No, it's I think it's great. I think I really have genuine respect for anyone creative enough to put any kind of music together. What sort do you do your own songs, or do you?
There's the song I sing actually every night is one that I just kind of put together when she was a baby, and I've sung it ever since. Um,
Right. So you sing it to your daughter every night, do you?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was like nice. You know, it was actually the first night. Her mom had gone out with her friends after she was born. And I was actually never cried when she was a kid, ever. And this one night she just erupted. You know, she was teething and all this kind of stuff. And the only thing I could think to calm her down was to sing to her. So I ended up like over an hour, made up this little jingle, and every night I've sung it to her since. But
Yeah, that's
the first time she
that's
sang it back to me, that was like it was gone, you know. But
so you've got an amazing relationship with your daughter, Ashley.
yeah, I'm genuinely like I couldn't be any luckier. Like I know
Yeah,
everyone says that, but like I really couldn't. Like she's the coolest little kid ever. Like, but
yeah, definitely. You know, for me, mate, it's obviously I've got a different dynamic in my house because I met Danielle 10 years ago. At the time, she had two daughters, Alicia and Emmy. Emmy was 1.5. Alicia was 3.5. And Megan, Megan was born about 4 years later. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's a hard thing because you know what I mean. Is I love them all the same. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
love them all the same. All three girls. I love them all the same. And I'm going to keep my voice down a little bit because they're upstairs and stuff. But it's
yeah,
like,
they'll be listening.
yeah, there will be. But like, you cannot get away from the the paternal feelings you have for your own daughter. You know what I mean? Because at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, they have their dad. You know what I mean? And like my job is to make sure that you're safe, teach you the difference between good and bad. I'll be as loving and caring as I possibly can be, and the stuff that I've previously been through. I didn't get a lot of love and care from my own dad and things like this, so it doesn't come naturally to me, and something I struggle with in my own personal relationships and stuff like this. But
Yeah,
it's hard, especially when they're all women, mate. You know what I mean? It's like with hormones and things like this, and
yeah,
you'll just get accused of something one day, something that you weren't even aware you were doing or aware it was an issue. You know what I mean? And then because they're all girls, they'll all back each other up, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, all right. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. Well, I'm kind of lucky. I just have the one. I only have the one to deal with.
yeah,
You know.
exactly. So I am envious in a way that you have that isolated relationship where you can just build upon.
Yeah,
Because I've got all these kind of distractions and stuff like this from sibling rivalry and all this kind of stuff as
yeah.
well.
But Ashley's mom has a little boy as well, so so I can see the rivalry at her mom's house, and then it's like Ashley comes here for a break. She just chills out.
Yeah,
You know, she comes here.
yeah,
It's all jigsaws and Xbox and good times. You know, there's no one snapping
definitely.
things out of her hand, or there's no arguments.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I kind of wish that I had that with the other two. You know what I mean? Because it's not often that I get to spend one-on-one time with the older two. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they go to their dads on their own, the older two, and I get one-on-one time with Megan. And we have a great relationship. Me and Megan, she's very similar to me. We're both gamers, both
yeah.
quite creative and witty and stuff like this. We've got a very stupid, very ridiculously stupid sense of humor.
Yeah.
But
That's
I guess it's something I need to work on. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's do you ever take them on like little dates?
What do you mean? Well, I mean,
Like
we'll go out as a family and stuff for dinner and stuff like that.
yeah. But do you ever would you ever just take the girls? Like maybe like leave Danielle at home so it's just quality time.
Well, I have I have done in the past, but I find it really really hard because it's like there's a lot of arguments between the kids. You know what I mean? And it's almost like, well, it's all we're doing here is arguing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a phase thing. You raise a good point, mate, because it is definitely something that I should really push. But that is something that I definitely
Yeah.
need to do.
Like I do obviously I have it easy. I only have one, but I bring Ashley on these like dinner dates and stuff. Well, obviously it's nice to have like one-on-one time, but I think it gives them an expectation for when they're older of what they should expect and how they should be treated. Like I used to get the guys I work with sometimes would especially when she was smaller, they'd be saying like, what are you doing tonight? I'm going, here for drinks. I'm going, oh, I've got some bracelets to make, but actually I'm pretty excited about that. And they'd be looking at me
Yeah.
going like, what are you doing? But because Ashley is like, she's into Marvel and gaming, and like Deadpool's her like hero.
Yeah.
So she's not very girly girl. But if I say, oh, I'm going to take you out for dinner, and we'll go here, we'll go there. Like she likes to get dressed up, and she'll put on her jewelry and paint her nails, and it's a big thing. Like, and she loves it, and it's nice to kind of build those little memories. Uh, you know, hopefully she'll remember when she's older and she's 16 and doesn't care about me or hates me. Why are you so unfair, Dad? Like, remember that time I took you for dinner? you know, but it's
No, man, that's that's very inspiring. Actually, that's I feel like I've kind of been put in my place a little bit there, actually, like because I definitely need to work harder at that. Even with Megan, I guess if I'm thinking about it, mate, like 95% of the time that I'm out, it's all of us together. You know what I mean? It's just a different dynamic we have, but it's not really an excuse. You know what I mean? I should really be putting one-on-one time into each of them. So you couldn't have said it better. So they know what to expect as they get older from the males in their life they meet.
Yeah, well, it's that thing of like they say, like a boy will find someone similar to his mother, and a daughter will find someone similar to her father. So my whole thing was be the best dad possible, be the best example you possibly can be, so that when she gets older, she has high standards. And some people give out saying, well, maybe you're setting that bar a little bit too high. Well, that's okay with me. If the guy can't deliver, then you don't need him.
Totally agree. Totally agree. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You know what I mean? It's not like there's going to be a lack of choice of male human beings as she gets older.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But no, I don't mean it to. I wasn't saying it to like put you in your place or anything like that.
I love it, mate. I don't know. I love being put in my place. You know what I mean? I love learning. I love any eye-opening experience of any sort. Personally, I really, really do.
Yeah, well, I tell you, that's actually why I'm enjoying this show, because it's getting someone else's perspective on something that you're already doing, and it kind of makes you look at it from a different angle, and you go, oh, that's interesting, or just how different people think is I like that.
Yeah, I definitely do. That's what life's all about, man. Life's all about learning. Like literally, life is about learning. And I guess I can tie this into some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, consciousness and aliens and stuff like this, because, if I like to think, when I was, my oldest memory ever, I must have been about like 2 years old or something like that. And I have this memory. It's not even a very detailed memory. It's like a vague memory of me being 2 years old, in a little baby walker or something like that. And I remember like putting my hand on this gate. There's a little handle on the gate, and I remember the light bulb went on. That's how to actually open the gate and pull it open. You know what I mean? And when that light bulb went on, I remember, this is just an really old memory, and it's inspired by a lot of the alien stuff that I've listened to and consciousness and stuff like this. I just remember feeling a little bit more awake. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Every time you learn something, all right, okay, so I've learned that. And on a very basic level, as a 2-year-old, you're a bit more awake. And you learn another thing, you're a bit more awake. You know what I mean? So, in my opinion, learning is absolutely everything. And if at any part of your life you fall into the trap of no longer being a student and just not wanting to learn anything else, I just think that's when bad things are going to start happening to you. You know what I mean? You're not actually moving forward in life and learning and doing your mind justice in learning.
I fall into learning traps though, where I'm learning things that I probably don't need to be focused on. Like I think sometimes I use it as a distraction. Like when what really wasn't making videos, I was like, well, at least I'm learning this other thing. When really I'm probably never going to use it. So,
well, you might be right, mate, but you know what I mean. There's worse habits than that. You know what I mean. You could be wasting your time playing video games and just not learning anything whatsoever. You know what I mean. At least you're actually learning something, and you never know. The world works in very strange ways, and you never know when a situation might come up where one little piece of one massive thing you were learning over a period of weeks might come into play. It might come in useful one time, and you know what I mean. It might become useful for you.
You never know.
But I know what you mean, though.
You know, it's like I remember like when I was younger. You know, if your mom said like, right, you've got to clean the house, or your dad says you have to clean the house, you'll pretty much do anything to avoid it. Or like clean your room, and you'll spend your day in the kitchen, and you'd never spend your day in the kitchen. Like,
yeah,
you just find ways to distract yourself, going, oh, I didn't get it done because I got talking to Tommy, and time got away from me. I'll do it tomorrow. And that's the way most people kind of live their lives, but it's better just to just get stuck in. Just if you want to know something, just like.
Well, I think that raises a different. That's a bit of a different point, and you know, that would tie into a lot of the issues that I have with anyone really, especially like the kids and stuff like this. One thing I have like an issue with is responsibility, taking responsibility, and you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I know the kids, and we have different, you know, dynamics and that going on and stuff like this. But one thing I find is, you know, kids go through phases where they'll not take any responsibility for anything they've done whatsoever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if they're in like a situation where there is absolutely no doubt about it, they are in the wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't like to make a big deal about it, but I just want to get to a point when, right, okay, just, you know, we just take responsibility and we'll move on. At least if you take responsibility, you can then learn what it is that you've done, and then just it'll not happen again. We'll move on. You'll be a better person. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
you know, I try not to be too hard on them because they're kids and stuff. But
yeah,
it is hard. It's very, very hard because like I said, there'll be situations come up and you kind of point something out and say, well, I didn't do that because of this or because of this, because I did that because of this, and it doesn't add up. You know what I mean? It's not because of that actually. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Just people who don't take responsibility for their own actions, I really struggle with that.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I had a thing where Ashley went through this little phase of telling stupid lies.
Yeah,
like the ones that wouldn't make sense. Like a few weeks ago, there was powder all over a room, like baby powder. You know, if you get out of the shower.
So I went in. So you haven't developed any bad habits then?
No, but I was like, what's the story with all the powder? I don't know. I was like, well, you know, did Granddad do it? Did Nana do it? No, it wasn't you though. No, it definitely wasn't me, Dad. And it was going on for about half an hour, and to the point where, you know, you're trying to not laugh, and so I ended up, like, my mom came up, and and she was like, well, I didn't do it. And I was like, that's it. You know, when your granddad comes home, I'm gonna have to sit him down and find out why he put all this powder everywhere. And you can see the worry in her face. And I said, do you know what? I was like, that camera that's there in case the burglars come. I was like, I bet you we can catch the reflection off the mirror, and we'll see who did it. It was me. It was me. Just bursting. But if I hadn't have said that, she would not have taken responsibility for it at all.
Yeah.
She was quite happy for Granddad to take the rap.
It is. Kids are like very, very interesting characters. I think one of the dynamics I have, mate, is I'm dealing with three very different personalities. They are very different. All three of them are very, very different. And Alicia, being the oldest one, is honestly, no word of a lie. She would go months and months and months without ever admitting that she's wrong, even though I know. And this is where my logic comes into play, and sometimes it doesn't go down very well. All right, it honestly doesn't. But this is where I get it from. As you know, I studied poker, you know, for years. So I come from like a probability. Like probability is like a big part of what I do, because I'm thinking, if I'm ever in a space where the kids have done something wrong, and they are thinking, oh, well, if you can't 100% prove it, don't worry about it. You'll just, you know, you'll just let me get away with it. If he doesn't know 100% it was us, or me rather, don't worry about it. So because of that, I have to go on probability. And there might be 1 out of 20 times I'll get it wrong, and I'll really accuse someone as if I really fully know that something has happened, and it hasn't actually happened. You know what I mean? Which is really bad. You know what I mean? But it's because I have to get it right the other 19 times. You know what I mean? So I have to take things from a probability standard, but more than often it's clear. Like the great example that you just said there, mate. You know what I mean? There was like, it's not going to be anyone else. For a fact. You know what I mean? But like some kids would they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have broke down. Like certainly Alicia, like in the situation you just said there, mate. Alicia wouldn't have done that. She would have went on for months and months and months. Well, 3 months would have passed, and then when things calm down in a few months' time, and it's like no one really cares anymore. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah. When I was younger, I obviously I shared a room with my brother, and I got a can of Lynx and I sprayed my name in the carpet and lit it on fire. So I go, Alan. But I did it behind the door so no one would notice. And obviously my mom seen it, everyone flipped, and I was like, no, it's not me. My brother ended up getting in trouble, and I was like, why would I do it? Why would I spray paint my own name and light it on fire? And it was years later I was like, yeah, that was me, I'm sorry. It's funny though what you do as kids.
Because it's like how far do you go? Because it's like, all these things that I did 10 times worse when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So you kind of, but on the flip side of that, you don't want them to make the same mistakes you did. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? So I'm coming down hard on them, but it's because I don't want them to start making bad decisions when they're older. You know what I mean? Because it starts off small and it just escalates and gets bigger and bigger. I genuinely don't want them to start making big mistakes when they're older. So I want to kind of nip it in the bud, and that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah, well, that's it. I tell Ashley, like, there's nothing between like myself or her mom. I was like, there's nothing you can do that we already haven't gone through. And as long as, like, if something happens, we're like, just tell me as it happens, and then there's no trouble, there's no surprise. It's like if I hear it from you, that's the end of it. When I hear it from someone else, then it's a problem because you haven't told me. And that's kind of the way I approach it.
100%, yeah, 100%. How old's Ashley now?
She's 8.
Yeah, like it hasn't even really begun for you yet, mate. No. Honestly, wait until give it like 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? When she gets into high school and there's other kids doing things they shouldn't be doing, and then a group of them start doing it and things like this. It starts getting pretty hard to manage, if I'm honest with you, mate. It really does.
No, I can imagine it's scary. But I remember when she was born, my dad said to me, enjoy every minute until she's about 10. I was like, and then she's going to hate you for a few years, but don't worry, she'll come back. And so that's the way I kind of live my life. Just go along with everything, play nice, and then those few years, my dad. Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased you said that, because that's kind of how I feel. I must be in that second phase at the minute.
Yeah. My dad is such a quiet man, but when he does say something, it's normally a little nugget. It's worth hearing.
Yeah, definitely. My dad is the opposite. My dad is almost a louder carbon copy of me. we because we played darts on a Friday night, and a couple of me close friends started coming out on a Friday. I play like a home game in the local club, and then an away game at wherever else we're playing. So the home games, often me mates will come and watch, just any excuse to have a few beers on a Friday night, basically. And my dad's there as well, and we're all having a game of darts. Maybe it's about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So it was after we had played with competitive games, just like a fun game at the end of the night. It's probably about 10:30. So, because what happens on a Friday is, like, I'll go to me dad's mate's house at like 5 o'clock. We'll start drinking from then, but like, slow drinking. But by the time it gets to like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I've normally had about like 7 or 8 pints or something like that. So I'm usually pretty pissed, if I'm honest with you, by like 10:30. So we're playing darts. It's me and my friend against me dad and his mate.
Right.
And, they eventually get the win, and my dad's pretty pissed as well. And he's like jumping around the pub going, yes, your shit, your shit, your shit. That's what he's doing. I'm like, I don't know if, and I said, everyone was laughing. I don't know if you've met my dad before, but he's quite humble in defeat.
Yeah.
Your shit, your shit,
So, that's good that you know where you stand with him, though.
Oh, yeah, he's
never a question.
I've been trying to get him into online marketing for quite a while because he'd be really good at it, because he's just that type of person. He's like a personality type person, you know what I mean? And I think the day will come when he will probably get into it, if I'm honest with you. Like,
yeah. Well, that's I only know your dad from like the WhatsApp group we had a while back.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And he seems cool. He's fairly direct. I like direct people. And there's no question. Like, is that what he meant, or maybe he meant this? It's just no.
Yeah.
You know.
To be fair though, I think my dad's not really. He's not much of a like a messenger. You know what I mean? He's not much of a texter. He's not very good on WhatsApp. So I think, you know, he's probably misinterpreted on messages and stuff like that. But one thing he'd be excellent at it was like videos and stuff like this. He wouldn't really care about doing videos and stuff like this. And he's just the type of person where, you know, he's similar to me. I just think, you know, like personality is just there. It's just he doesn't really have to try too much. Personality is just there. And I think he's more of a salesperson than I am. I think he'd be really good. You know, for example, Exodus Elite, if he was making like $1,000 commissions and stuff like that, I think that's probably what he would do. He'd probably go for like a program where he can make big commissions and stuff like this, and he'd probably kick the crap out of it. Because me and him have been through some really tough times, and when we go out and practice darts and stuff like this through the week, I always start talking about marketing and stuff like this, because I think for how hard he works, he should be making a lot more money. He works for Stage.
Right.
It's like a business-to-business software company, and he makes good money and stuff like this. But it's taken him his whole life to get there. You know what I mean? Like he's had businesses fail and stuff like this. He's been bankrupt and stuff before. So it's been a struggle, and I've been through it with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just kind of think, for how hard he's worked his whole life, he deserves to. Even though he's doing well, he's doing great. I just think he could jump into the online marketing space and be one of those people who just kicks the crap out of it and just really smashes it. Like, you know, like a Steve Lawson, for example, just someone who really kicks the shit out of it.
Yeah. Well, I remember you posting about going to Vegas with him, and like that was like such a pinnacle moment for you, because you had never been away. Is that am I right in saying that? You'd never been out of the country?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But like, like that's a huge achievement.
Definitely, yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my dad didn't go on holiday abroad until he was 40 years old.
No way.
And I just remember being a kid, and he had a business, right? He had a bit, which was actually an American company, but he had his own. I don't know if it was a franchise or whatever. I was too young to really know what the hell was going on, but he had his own business, and one of the guys from like another branch was staying down local to where we were, and he was going to get a hotel. And my dad, being the nice guy he is, he said, "Oh, don't you don't need to spend your money in a hotel. Just come and stay with us." You know what I mean? We used to live in a little small 2-bedroom house. You know what I mean? But this guy, and I'll just never forget, like, this guy clearly was like loaded. You know what I mean? He made massive amounts of money. And he came, and I'm sure he brought like bottles of like champagne, like, you know what I mean? And I can't remember the gist of the exact details of the conversation, but I just remember being a kid and the two of them, you know, having a conversation in my living room when I was it must have been about like 11 o'clock at night. They were both having a drink. I remember it was quite dark. I think the little lamp was on in the corner. And they were just talking about being on holiday, and like this other guy was talking about all the different places he had been. He'd been all over the world. My dad was sat there, like probably at 38 years old at the time. Had never ever been abroad, you know. And this is another thing that stems back to, you know, some of the stuff we were talking about before. I guess I just grew up with this mindset of life's gonna be a bloody struggle. You know what I mean? Everything we do, it's me and my dad. We're not the type of people to have success come to us, you know what I mean? And I think that's where my hunger a lot of it comes from. I'm just had enough of it. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I gained control of my own life, and I was no longer under the controls of like parenting, you know, like from my dad, like deciding where we go on holiday together. As soon as I was able to, you know, get a bit of freedom, you know, I did pretty well. Like here we are, you know what I mean? So I think things are going pretty well. So I think that's where a lot of my
I think
my focus.
there's so many people that have that kind of mindset though, that like, well, you know, my dad worked in a factory, so that's the best I can probably do. When you're your own limitation though. Like if you want to go above and beyond that or into another stratosphere, it's you that takes you there. It's not your dad can't work for you. You know, that's the way. Because I thought the same. I was like, you know, my dad was always a very hard worker, and that's where I have a good work ethic from him. But like my dad kind of settled. I'm like, that's not for me. I want more from life, and that's how I found your videos, and we're still here.
Yeah, definitely.
And just in saying that, the amount you have changed since I started working with you is unbelievable. And I don't mean changed as in like, oh, you've changed, but but I remember thinking when I first started, this guy has nailed it. He knows what he's doing. But even if I think if you
I seem like I haven't got a clue.
No, I think if you went back, tonight after this, if you went on YouTube and watched a video of yours from 2.5 years ago, and then compared it to the way you are now, I know it's hard sometimes to look at yourself. It's like Matt was saying earlier on the call. Someone on the outside looking in can always see a lot more than you can see in the moment. But the amount you have grown as a person and as a marketer is unreal, and it's been a pleasure to learn from you.
Well, appreciate that, Alan. I honestly feel the same way about myself and you as well. But just to comment on what you've said there, it is really nice to hear you say that, because like I said that you know, last week. It was about 6 months ago. I don't know what it is. Actually, well, I do know what it is. I think it's a big part of Futurenet. Futurenet is you know, you kind of reach that level where excuse me, you reach that income level where you're no longer for me, you're not just trying anymore. You're not just imagining what it's like to get there. You're like, I'm actually there now. You know, I run sales funnels and I've got like a traffic site and things like this. And it hasn't been the easiest journey. I've had to say, no, I don't want to work with you to a lot of people. And I'm not really like that type of person. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't like to reject anyone. You know what I mean? But you have to be business minded, and you have to be fair with yourself, because there are some people who will absolutely take advantage of you if they can, and some people are almost expert at manipulating the way you think to you know what I mean, to make it seem like it's in your benefit and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So all of these things, all of these kind of strength traits, it just comes with time and experience. And I think if you have that mindset that we've talked about, mate, if you are a student and you're always learning, you're always assessing, right, what's working for me, what's not working. And I tell you what it is as well, tying back to what we just talked about before there, me dad having his own business, and this is something we talk about as well when we go out, you know, for drinks and stuff. My dad had been scammed, well, not even scammed, they conned by one in particular con man who was his business partner. God, I can tell you some stories if I'm honest, mate. You know, he had his own business. It was called Filter Queen. It was basically like a Hoover, but it like filtered the air and it would clean your bed and stuff like this. He had his own business, and his business partner for years was basically conning him. It was basically taking his money. They had an agreement. My dad would give this guy money. He would pay the bills, like, because they were renting this building in a certain town and stuff like that. He wasn't paying the bills, and this other guy was going into the meetings and telling everyone that my dad was stealing all the money.
No way.
So he's really like, oh yeah, it was a really, really bad like case of like, he was just a genuine con man. That was really there was loads of different things, but I would literally be on all night talking about it. But so because my dad has been through all this stuff, I've had it in my mind for a very young age. You got to be very careful with people. You've got to be very, very careful with people, because some people are like, especially, to be honest with you, like the richest people, like the people with the most money, often you will find are the most manipulative people, and you've got to be careful with that, I think. And you know, I am careful with it, and I think there's probably a lot of people before me who haven't really been looking for it. They've had their shirt taken from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've just thought it's not going to be me. And I know this is not what you were talking about. You're saying growing as confident and stuff like this, but this is like a big part of it as well. This is kind of like you know what I mean? It's all
a learning curve.
It all falls under the umbrella of not giving a shit, which is what I spoke about last week, about 6 months ago. I just got to the point when I just thought, I'm at the point now where I'm comfortable enough not to give a shit. People are going to like, you know, some people are going to like the way I do things. Some people aren't. I can't control what everyone thinks. I can't make everyone like me. So I'm just not even going to try. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be as nice as, you know, I'm going to be as fair as I can with everyone. Everyone knows I'm not out to scam people, but I'm certainly not going to be liked by everyone. So I'm just not going to give a shit. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how I've gotten here, but I'm here.
Yeah. No, I hit that wall myself. And I think, as you said, a big part of it was Futurenet. People think you're crazy when you say, oh, I'm earning some money online. Like, and I know I talked about it on one of the shows where, like, my first month with Futurenet, I made like $4.60 or something, and thinking I was an absolute genius. But like 2.5 years down the road, and you know, if I've made 36,000, or if, you know, I've turned over 36,000, it's a confidence boost, and then after a while, you just don't care. When Futurenet's dug me out of a lot of holes, especially last year, and even for this Christmas, it's like, well, I don't care if you can think what you want of it. It puts money and food on my table, and like, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like me.
Yeah, I think you're doing all the right things, mate. I think if you keep this up, right, and just keep consistent in everything, you know, not necessarily just this show, but videos especially, you know, just keep being consistent. You're doing all the right things. I genuinely think it. Well, I know I don't think. I know it's just a matter of time before it happens for you. But one thing you will have to do is you will have to take that leap. You will have to risk it. You will have to get to the point when you're like, right, I'm making enough money now that I could probably sustain, like, without working at the airport. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
that's a big one. That is a big one. And one thing I thought of when Dave was on the call before, I mean, I don't know how much money he makes, but I know that he's been doing it a long time. He's very consistent. I would be surprised if he doesn't make enough, you know, from home to be able to just quit work. Because what happens is when you quit work, that's when the pressure just hits you on the shoulders. You know what I mean? And that's when you know, right, now I can't fuck around. You know what I mean? Now I have to do this, because if I don't work my arse off, I'm not going to pay the bills this month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you as soon as you get to that point, that's when you have to go through that hard moment. And it was I maybe did it a little bit too early, and I went through 2 or 3 months of probably the 3 hardest months of my adult life. To be honest with you, it was really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I've probably done it too early. But you're doing all the right things in terms of this show, and I genuinely mean this, mate. I've never wanted success for anyone more than I do you. I would be I'll be so proud when you do this, and I can see it that you're changing your life for the better. I really will.
Yeah, I appreciate that, pal. I'm not going anywhere. Certainly not till something good happens.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased, mate, because if you ever pack it in, I'm telling you what, I'll not be the same for quite a while. The YBR Wednesday hangouts will be shit for a lot of people. So just know that you're affecting a large amount of people, basically, if you pack this in.
Yeah, thanks, pal. No pressure.
No pressure.
No, even on the YBR Wednesdays, I know for a long time I used, or even before that when we had the Mark and Alan show, and
yep.
I used everyone that would be on the call was a crutch, and I'd just try and hide. I remember the pinnacle moment. I remember it was being on a Swiss Gold Global hangout with Claudia, Rob Fraser, Suzanne, and yourself.
No, not that one. Don't remind us of that one.
Yeah, and
that was the one where I crumbled, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think something happened that you had to jump off. And you're like, "Hey, Alan, just take it away." And I was like, "Oh shit!"
What do you think I was doing? Like, there was noise in the other room, but I could have coped with it. You know what I mean? But I thought to myself, right, this is the perfect excuse just to piss off here, because I don't know what it is. Like, I was shitting my pants like days before that hangout. But you know what threw us off though? And sorry to cut you off, mate.
No, you're good.
I'll bring it back in just a sec. I can't remember who it was I asked, but we're in like a little group chat before that hangout, and I knew I was going to be crapping my pants because that Claudia, she was like one of the top affiliates in the company.
It's number one, yeah.
And well, number one, and Rob Fraser as well. I don't know what it is with Rob Fraser. Like, every time I'm on a call with Rob Fraser, because he's been a massive inspiration to me over the years, and just the way that he delivers like his stuff. Like, he can intimidate us quite a bit as well, and I'm like, like Claudia and Rob Fraser on the call. So I said, does anyone else want to lead this call? I can't remember who it was. I'm sure maybe Rob. He said, yeah, I'll do it, or something like that. And then 2 minutes before we went live, everyone was like, so are you ready to go, Mark? Me. I thought this was going to be someone else. I was just going to take a back seat.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, no, this is your call. And I think that's why I crumbled, because I was so not mentally prepared. Like, I was under the impression someone else was going to lead it until 2 minutes before we actually went live, and I just shit me pants when we went live.
No, I was the same. I mean, obviously, Claudia. Actually, if I'm honest, I didn't really care about Claudia because, well, I sent her a friend request. She never accepted it, so I was like, oh, whatever. But
whatever, bitch.
Yeah, whatever. Well, it's whatever. I'm not big enough for her attention. But like, Rob Fraser has been a big influence. I watch all his videos. Suzanne is lovely. And then so I was like, I'll just try and just blend in the background here and pretend I fit in, like. But yeah, you just threw me to the wolves, and I was like, this is terrifying. Here, Rob, eat him.
Alan, you see that bus? Yeah, go in there.
Yeah. But I
didn't think of it that way, man.
Yeah, I kind of.
Sorry about that.
I can't remember what I said. I think I literally did like a minute spiel, and then I was like, "Hey, Rob, how you doing?"
God, that was one of my all-time worst. Worst hangouts.
But it's funny how they become your memories. Like calls like that. Like I said to when I did the very first show with Harry, at the end of it, obviously I think we stayed on for another hour after the show was over, and Harry was like, "Oh, thanks for having me." I was like, "Forget it, Harry." I was like, "If you don't know it, but you've actually ingrained yourself in a memory in my mind. Like, you're my first ever guest, and never mind your nerves, you've helped me get over mine." And he was like, "Oh, that's great." But that's what it's all these little memories. Like, I enjoy talking about this stuff far more than I like talking about trolleys in the airport. Like, it's not. That doesn't appeal to me. This has my full attention. It doesn't always have my full time, but it has my full attention, and it keeps me awake at night. And that's probably, some people say it's a bad thing, but I like it.
No, it's definitely not a bad thing. Anyone who says it's a bad thing isn't part of this. What I mean? They're not doing it themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. I know. Well, I know you suffer with this kind of stuff as well. But like this last year, I had these crazy anxiety attacks and panic attacks out of nowhere that I could really explain. But and I know I kind of got angry with me. Once I felt much better, I felt more angry with myself for wasting 3 months. And I was like, fucking, you did nothing those 3 months. And anyone that was following you is gone. And it would have been a
Yep.
really if I was ever going to walk away, it would have been after that. But I was like, there's no point. Like, you already know this is what you want. So, followers will always come back, or people, that think they've lost trust in you maybe because you disappeared, or they'll come back.
Well, 100%. No one has a goldfish memory. It's just a momentum thing. You know what I mean? Momentum's a massive part of it. I tell you, when I realized, momentum was massive, but videos as well, was when I was doing the Exodus Elite stuff, and it's widely known in the online marketing space. The bigger the payment, the harder it is to make a commission. And it was people had to fork out $1,000 for Exodus Elite.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't know what it is now. And you'd make 100% commission, so it'd be $1,000 commission, and that just seemed like just almost impossible. And I think in the end, I made like $23,000, and that's still to this date is like the best 2 months of my life. It was, I think, summer 2016, across 2 months, made $23,000 in profit. And the way that I was doing it was I was just literally doing videos on Facebook, not lives or anything, just uploading them to Facebook from my living room in there. And I was just talking about, created a little offer, like the one spot bonus, I think it was called. Yep. And when I first started doing those videos, I wasn't getting much like feedback. I wasn't really getting much of it. You know what I mean? And I just kept on doing them because I knew, I think it was probably from Rob Fraser about the momentum kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I knew to believe in it. And, especially when you come from a YouTube background and stuff like this, you do 10 videos. Those first 10 videos are nothing but building blocks for the next 10. You know what I mean? So you can't expect results from the first 10 videos. They're just building blocks for the next ones.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's the same thing on Facebook. And I can't remember how long it went on for. Probably about 3 or 4 weeks. I reckon it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks before I got any engagement. I was doing about 3 videos a week on, and I was putting like an intro on it and everything, and I was putting a lot of work into it because I knew it was $1,000 people had to fork out. So I knew it was going to take a bit more work to get people in the mood for this type of stuff. And would you believe it? 3 weeks down the line, I'm getting messages and messenger and stuff. Mark, I'm loving your energy on this one spot bonus thing. I'm interested in it, sort of stuff. And the messages start coming in, replies to emails and stuff like this, and then it all just happens at once. I think I just got like 5 or 6 like sales in the space of a week or something like that. You know what I mean?
And that's big. That's big motivation.
You what, man?
That's big motivation. Once it clicks and you know it's happening.
100%.
It's just double down.
But it like ties back into what you were saying. You know what I mean? Like, so you had this kind of mindset of, no one's going to remember me anymore. I'm not going to have this momentum. It's just a case of like, you can take 3 months off. You've just got to expect for the first couple of weeks, you're probably not going to get much engagement, sort of thing. You've got to like establish yourself. Right, here we are. I'm serious about this. I'm consistent. You know what I mean? And just come in and start doing it consistently again. And sooner or later, people remember who you are, that you are a hard worker, and that you are real. And it just picks up and picks up. So you can always have. I mean, Sean Powell, who we both know, he took a year off or something like that. He was telling me in Messenger a week or so ago that he took a year off or something like that, and he knows better than most people about momentum and stuff like this. You know what I mean? He just started hammering the YouTube videos and stuff like this. And there's a science to it. You know what I mean? You've just got to stick with it and don't expect results straight away.
No, well, I've always thought like that. I've always said, okay, well, I'm just going to keep going. And in 3 years, 3 to 4 years, I expect to be somewhere. Yeah, we're a lot further down the road than I am. But like even with my YouTube channel, I ignored that for the best part of a year, 14 months. I had maybe 20, 30 subscribers. And because over the last few weeks I've been, a bit more consistent in how I upload and when I upload, it's grown a lot. Well, it's nowhere near where I want it to be, but it's gone from that 20 or 30 to near 200 in the space of a couple of weeks, which is still nothing. It's a tiny YouTube channel. So if you're watching this, Alan Kavanagh online, go subscribe.
Are we talking subscribers here? Is that what you were referring to there?
Yeah, just being consistent. Because I used to maybe I might upload now, and it could be 6 weeks before I upload anything again. But if maybe 2 months ago I start getting like on a Tuesday I'd have to upload, on this day I have to upload.
Yeah. Do you have many subscribers on your YouTube channel, Alan?
I've close to 200 now, which is.
Oh, is that what you were saying?
Yeah. It's a tiny channel, but
I'll give you a sneaky tip as to what I did, right? And people watching this can think what they want. I don't care. But this is what I did. And I'm talking like 2014 when I first got started, right? And it really, really helped me. What I did was I actually paid, right, for like 250 subscribers or something like that, right? And I think I might have had like 80 subscribers or something like that, right? But you'll generally find people will subscribe to your channel when it looks like there's a few more people on there. And yeah. I'm not recommending anyone watching this to pay for fake subscribers, right? Just to get your account started. That's what I did. I paid for like 250 subscribers. And then I found more people would start subscribing because it looked like there was more subscribers, right? Yeah. And then it must have been fake bullshit subscribers or something, because about 12 months later, when I had it up to like 800 subscribers, they all dropped off. It jumped from like 800 to 600 in one day. Like, what the hell? But you know what it is? I still had 600 subscribers, and they were still building on, and now I've got like 2,000 subscribers. So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not recommending that, but
no,
that's what worked for me.
I remember, well, like probably, last year when I had like the 20, 30, I could go months without getting a new subscriber. Whereas now it seems every video I put out, I gain two to five, depending on what the video is about. And well, I hope they're real subscribers. I've not paid for them to be there.
Do you have what do you call it? A watermark in the corner, permanent watermark.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Because you know what? One thing I've been thinking about for ages, and I haven't managed to get round to it, is doing like an outro. You've seen the Stark Training Zone videos where there's an outro at the very end, and it comes on like, watch this video or whatever. I've even thought about doing an intro as well, actually, but like specifically an outro, just something that I can stick on to the end of every single video, which is maybe just me in the kitchen saying, well, thanks very much for watching this video all the way to the end. In fact, if you've watched this video all the way to the end, that tells me that you must like my content in some way. Please press the subscribe button in the bottom right corner. And if you want to join my business, the link will be in the description. You know what I mean? Just something like that.
You can do that with end cards now.
What are they called? End cards?
End cards, yeah.
Oh, end cards. Oh, right.
Yeah. So if you watch any of my videos on YouTube, at the end, two videos will come up. I'll have best for viewer and latest upload, and then I'll have a giant subscribe button. But you do that after you've uploaded it. If you go back into the Creator Studio, and it's in the same place where you add your subtitles, you'll see end cards and all that. But it's a reasonably new feature in the last maybe few months. So you set it to like a playlist or a particular video, and you can set it as a default, so you don't have to do it every time.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's probably where you're getting the subscribers from, then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I was actually very lucky. A few of my videos have been picked up. Do you know, like, let's say like your video plays, it will suggest my video. So I've been lucky enough to, like that one I did, was it last year on Big Club Network? That one, it still hasn't. I think it has 4,000 views or something like that. But it's, when you go into the analytics and look, it's because it's been picked up by something. It's in the suggested from some other video.
Yeah.
And it kind of just, I think people find me kind of that way. But my normal videos wouldn't get that many views, maybe 80 to 100 views. But I think that's the subscriber base or from the groups.
I tell you which one, like, you know, one thing I've been thinking in terms of YouTube as well, because I try and be, you know, as genuine and, you know, not spammy as I possibly can on YouTube. But the thing is, I'm starting to realize if you have a good look at the YouTubers who are smashing it and, you know, getting loads of views and things like this, it is like it's what you would call clickbait. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking I'm just going to start doing that, because one of my most viewed videos in the last kind of 9 months, right, is a Futurenet video where I made $60,000 in total commissions. And I've made like obviously almost double that now. So it was like months and months ago. But in the thumbnail, it's just a big 60K.
Yeah.
It just says 60K. And it just, I think it's like how to make $60,000 in Futurenet, you know what I mean? So it's just full on clickbait. So I'm starting to think, well, might as well start doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those ones seem to work better than it's still not a guarantee. I mean, if you do that, it's not like a guarantee that you're gonna. Because I've done that on $80,000 as well, and it didn't get anywhere near the views. So I don't know what it is, but I think if you keep on pushing those types of videos forward.
I watch a lot of it. There's a channel called Creator Studio, and it's YouTube themselves, and they kind of give advice. So a lot of your videos ranking now comes from the views and watch time it gets from the first 24 hours. Will determine. Remember, like in the Jack and Rank course, we used to teach like how to rank these videos. The algorithms kind of changed a little bit now. So like you need to get your audience to watch over 60% of the video in order for it to rank higher.
Right.
And then once that starts to happen, it'll start to push you kind of wider and wider. So what I used for that was the smaller promotional videos from Futurenet, like the Coin of Mine one. I think I've had like maybe 600 views or something on it, which is a lot for my channel. But YouTube will push that video out to new subscribers, but because it's such a short video, it's like 2 minutes long or something. At the end of it, my latest upload will be there. So people are clicking through and then, you know, either seeing one of these shows or a YBR hangout, or the latest Futurenet webinar. So those little videos are helping me more than these kind of longer calls.
Well, there you go. All right, that's an interesting strategy, isn't it? You know what I mean? Do shorter videos, which will then lead on to the other videos.
Yeah. But it's just something that's been working for me, but or I've noticed has worked for me. But I suppose if it's not broken, keep going.
Yep, definitely. Oh, can we pause this because I need a toilet?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right, I'll be back in a second.
So while Mark's away, I guess I'll have a quick look at the chat. It's a good thing we actually went live. Normally I pre-record these, because I'm so terrified of video. And I know everyone always says, you know, you don't look scared at all. You know, a few months ago I could not imagine being live right now on Facebook. So let's see who have we got on. We've got Julie. How you doing, Julie? Paul Nixon, Ron Jeffries, Ladislav, how you doing, buddy? Haven't seen you in a bit. Mark Mooney. Mark, I went to school with Mark. That's how far we go back. We've got Harry, and of course Paul. Guys, thanks very much for staying up late with us. Normally I would put this video out on a Monday. It still will be uploaded to YouTube on Monday. But Mark kind of pushed me into this, kind of going live. Just the whole purpose of the show is obviously to get over my fear, but also to help other people. So I'm kind of happy that he pushed me to go live tonight. And
aliens as well.
And aliens that we haven't even touched on. Well, we suppose we have a little bit.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about aliens then.
All right. Well,
right. Go on.
I was just going to say, I'm gathering you 100% believe in aliens.
Well,
Convince
It
me.
all started about seven years ago when I was actually in the living room just behind me, looking for something to watch on Netflix with Danielle, and there was a program, or a film rather, a film called "I Know What I Saw," and it's no longer on Netflix, and you know, I'm not. We could do a whole show on this, by the way, but I'm not, because people who believe in UFOs, they can be put into a box, right, by skeptics, that they just believe any old bollocks. You know, like little green men and the Earth is flat and
Yeah.
all this type of shit, right? And surely, I would like to think anyone who knows me knows that I'm a very, very logical thinking person. But I also come from poker background, a probability background, something which is probable. And I've always been into space. I've always been into astronomy. I know some very, some very specific things. For example, I know it takes light to reach the Earth from the sun 8.5 minutes. So as you look into the sky, you are looking at the sun 8.5 minutes ago. So looking into the past. All the stars you can see when you look up into the sky at night, they're all in our very own galaxy. You can't see through the naked eye any other stars, and you can really only see. So let's say I'll just see what you can see. So let's say the galaxy is that big, right? This is our galaxy here. When you look up into the night sky, you're literally only seeing, like that much of the galaxy. You know what I mean? That's all you can see, even though it looks like there's hundreds of thousands of stars. I think there's 100, between 300 and 500,000 stars in our galaxy alone. 300 and 500 billion. Sorry, not 100,000. Between 300 billion and 500 billion stars in our galaxy alone. Right?
Right.
They also think there is somewhere between 300 and 500 billion galaxies in the observable universe. And the observable part of the universe, sorry if I'm hurting your brain here.
No, go for it.
So, observable means that's how far we can actually see, because theories are the Big Bang happened 13.8 billion years ago. So light has only been able to travel a certain length of distance in that time, which means we can only see as far as light has actually traveled. And there are some theories that the actual size of the universe is like billions times bigger than we can actually see, right? Now, I can't remember what year it was, but it was about, I think it was 2008. I think it was about 10 years ago. There was a telescope launched called, I think it was called the Kepler telescope, which was specifically designed for one thing. It was to look for what's called exoplanets, which are planets like Earth that could possibly, inhabit life, like with the right distance from the star, the right temperature, in what we call the Goldilocks zone. And about 2010, I think it was. This is just a little bit guesswork here, but it's like I remember when they had discovered like, I remember when they thought there would probably be around 500 exoplanets in our galaxy alone. So Earth-like planets, we were seen as quite rare in our galaxy. There'll not be many Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone. And I remember when it was like, we now think there might be about 1,000 Earth-like planets in our galaxy, the Milky Way. Then I remember when they were like, actually, we're starting to think there might be about 10,000 Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone. So it looks like there could be life in our own galaxy alone. And now they actually think there are around 10 million Earth-like planets in our own galaxy alone. 10 million, which would suggest there is pretty much life in every single direction you can look anywhere. So what is then usually put to me is, well, okay, so I believe in aliens out there, but it doesn't mean any of them have actually visited the Earth. And that's where we're in a different conversation. you have to think about some certain facts, right? There was a reported UFO crash, the biggest UFO case of all time, 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico, which happened in July. And it was only like weeks later, we're talking weeks later, after this crash had supposedly happened, witnessed, and there's witness test, there's like at least 20 or 30 people who have testimonies saying they saw this craft, this disc crashed. And there's people as well, I don't know what the numbers are, who claim they actually saw the bodies in the craft. All right, I'm not going to go too deep on that, because I want to try and do this where I don't look like a nutter straight away. I will look like a nutter eventually, but not straight away. And it was, I think it was like 2 weeks later, where the president signed an agreement to form what is now known as the CIA. So the CIA was formed. It ended up being months later, but it was agreed upon weeks after this supposed crash. And reports are, when we started dropping nuclear bombs, that is when there was a massive increase in UFO sightings. As soon as we started detonating atom bombs is when there was a massive increase in UFO sightings, almost as if we were focused upon when we started, splitting atoms and stuff like this.
Yeah.
There was so many UFO sightings in the Second World War that they had a name for them, and it was called Foo Fighters. So the Foo Fighters, the band, a Foo Fighter is a UFO, which was, I'm sure they were like orange orbs. Like loads and loads of pilots in the Second World War claimed they saw these orange orbs, which were known as Foo Fighters. There's also so many other cases. There was 1997 in Phoenix, Arizona. This big, massive football pitch size craft witnessed by thousands and thousands of people. Still to this day, has no explanation other than flares, which was then later denied by the not the government, the mayor.
Right.
You can see all this on YouTube. It's not flares. You can look at the videos. It's absolutely not flares. This is why I wanted to do some research, because I'm always all over the place.
I meant to look at some videos, but you've already kind of blown my head open a little bit. So I have a question. If you're saying it takes so much time for the light to travel, does that mean in, let's say, 200 years that they could possibly see another planet just on the horizon? Is that possible?
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean,
in theory,
every time you look at stars in the sky, you are literally looking years into the past, because the next nearest star, other than the sun, is 4 light years away. So the next nearest star is 4 years away. So every single star you are looking at in the sky is years away.
That's crazy.
So I thought where you were going to go with that was, well, how the hell are they getting here? You know what I mean? How the hell are these beings?
No, well, I actually believe they have been here. If I'm honest, because I'm a big believer in. I'm kind of weird because I don't believe in heaven and hell and all that kind of stuff, but I do believe in spirits. Because I've seen them. I don't think I'm crazy, but if they're spirits, the probability of some different life form being here is quite possible. But especially in, like, after Roswell, and you're looking at was it Area 50? Is it Area 57?
I was Area 51.
51. Well, that's I watched the program on it because I knew you were going to bring this up. I watched the program on it the other night, but actually I fell asleep. But it's weird that they have guards, like you can't even drive near it. Never mind fly over it or anything like that. And they're quite aggressive. They don't want people near there. And that's a lot.
Well, they have signs, shoot on sight.
Yeah. That's there's even, I know there's they have tours and stuff that will fly you close to it. So one of the videos I was watching, the pilot is getting pretty close, and it just comes over the radio like you need to proceed north, or you'll be shot down. Like there's no, hey, here's a warning. Who are you? It's just get out of here.
Well, funny enough, little story about Area 51, right? Area 51 was uncovered in the 80s by one man, right? One man. Nobody on the entire planet would know the words Area 51 if it wasn't for one person whose story made it famous. And the guy is called Bob Lazar, right? And he has a film in theaters in America now. It's a new movie. It's like a documentary movie, right? And it's probably my favorite UFO story to follow because it is the most compelling, right? And Bob Lazar came out in the 80s. I'm telling you, when you hear this guy talk, like I think he's like an astrophysicist or he's some sort of physicist, and he's just so scientific, and he just sounds like he's on another planet. He's so intelligent. He really, really knows what the hell he's talking about in terms of scientific. But one thing he does not do, which I've heard other people in the UFO field, because there are some people in the UFO field who are bullshitters, and they just want to make a name for themselves, and they want to bring attention to themselves, and it really pisses me off because it brings a bad name to everyone else who are genuinely trying to work out what the government are hiding and what the hell's going on, sort of thing. But one thing Bob Lazar does is if he gets asked a question and he doesn't know the answer, he'll just say, I don't know. I wasn't aware of that. I don't know what it is.
Right.
And but Bob Lazar, if you're interested in this, Alan, I would strongly recommend you have a watch of some videos on YouTube of Bob Lazar, some of the old ones and the new ones, because he came out with this story in, I think it was like the mid 80s or the late 80s, right? And the story is, I'll try and get my head around this because it's been a while since I've heard it. But he claimed that he was employed to work in Area 51. He didn't even call it Area 51. He calls it S4, which is a certain compartment of Area 51. And he was shown these alien spacecrafts, these UFOs, which had basically conquered anti-gravity. Right, and in the mid 80s, he was talking about an element on the periodic table called element 115. This is in the mid 80s, called element 115, and he was saying these UFOs, nobody knows how the hell it works, but they are using this element 115 to power the anti-gravity, power the anti-grav, whatever it is, right? No one knew what the hell he was talking about. And I think it was like 2005 or 2010 that added element 115 into the periodic table. Like
right.
Fucking 25 years later, that added into the periodic table, right?
Same one he's talking about in the 80s, right?
Yeah, the same one he's talking about in the 80s. But this Bob Lazar guy, he didn't want any attention. He didn't want any attention. In fact, he kept his mouth shut about it for like 20 years after. It's only because he's had loads of like pressure from like people who are quite friendly, and a guy who runs Coast to Coast AM, which is a big American conspiracy radio show. He's called George Knapp. He's based out of Nevada and in Vegas, and he's quite close to Bob Lazar. And he's been saying you need to come back to the story. By the way, Bob Lazar passed 4 lie detector tests as well, based on the information.
Is he still alive today?
He's still alive today, and like I say, he's got a fairly recent interview on YouTube as well. I think it's from like January this year, maybe last year, maybe this year. And I would recommend you just watch the interview between Bob Lazar and George Knapp, and just he'll even have diagrams about what the aircraft looked like, what the energy device was, and stuff like this. George Knapp starts off the interview by saying, "What's your favorite episode of Breaking Bad?" And he's like, "Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. What's your favorite episode of The Sopranos?" I don't know what you mean. And like George Knapp is like, the reason I'm asking these questions, ladies and gentlemen, is just to give you an idea as to what type of world Bob lives in. Like if you go to Bob's house, he has crazy shit on his roof, and like he's built his own what do you call it, particle accelerator? You know, like the big circular. Like he's built his own particle accelerator in his backyard and all this type of shit. He's just like this. You know what I mean? He's just the typical guy the government would employ to like work on UFOs, basically.
But it's
he's never changed his story, and it's
normally these guys don't you know, once they kind of out the government or whatever, they don't usually, they have a car crash, or you know, they just don't wake up.
He said, I'll tell you how the story came about. That was how I was going to start this. Sorry, I know I'm all over the place. I've just got loads of information, but this is how it all came about, right? This is how the story broke in the 80s, because, and he tells this story in good detail in this interview on YouTube. But what was happening was, because he's employed by the government, he's not allowed to tell anybody where he's going. And because he's working on Area 51, he would be called in the middle of the night, and he'd get a phone call, and it would, you know, the voice on the other end of the phone would be like, right, we expect you to be on site at like 10 p.m. tonight. And he wasn't allowed to tell his wife and stuff like this, but because he worked for the government, it was required that the government track Buggy's phones and like basically listen to all the conversations and stuff like this.
Right.
So because Bob Lazar was going to you know, to work on Area 51 at 10 o'clock at night, his wife thought he was having an affair, so she started having an affair with a pilot. She was learning to fly, so a pilot instructor. So she started having an affair with a pilot instructor. And obviously the government were listening to all this develop. Like they were aware of the fact that his wife was having like an affair. So because obviously you have to be in a stable mind to fucking back engineer alien spacecraft and what have you, you know, and his wife's having this affair. They basically stopped ringing him, they stopped calling him to come into work and stuff. So Bob Lazar is no longer getting these calls to come into base and stuff. He thinks he's going to lose his job. So what he then did was he then got his wife and I think one or two friends. He says, come out to this particular place on a Wednesday night. I think it was 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I think that's the time. And we'll watch these tests. We'll watch them test these UFOs. And that's what he did. He took two friends and his wife, and they did it for 3 weeks in a row, I think, like that. And they just basically watched these UFOs doing these sharp 90-degree turns. Just no human-built aircraft could ever do it. And his wife obviously realized he's not having an affair, so she broke the affair off and stuff. But I think it was like on the 3rd week or something like that, they actually got caught. Like they actually got caught by like the people who were there or something like that. And that's how it all broke. So I think because he's a clever guy, I don't know what his motivation was, but because he got caught, he probably feared for his life. So that's when he went to the press and he went public with the whole story. He went on Coast to Coast AM back in the 80s, and that's how everybody knows the words Area 51, because of that guy broke the story in the 80s.
No way. I didn't know that.
Well,
like you hear all those, like I used to watch conspiracy theories with Jesse Ventura. Like, he's a bit of a space cadet now. I'll give you that. But like a lot of the stories he ever covered, where anyone kind of spoke out, or they just, you know, he's like, they crashed his car. They can do that. You know, they can take over people's cars and crash them into walls, and or people just you know, might get mugged. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was staged as a robbery, you know, like 3 o'clock in the morning, but nothing was ever taken. But this guy had only outed the government for something, and it was like 2 days later he's dead. Like it's a weird. I'd say America's a very strange place to live.
Definitely, yeah. I think you're referring to the same episode I was thinking about there. So like during the filming of the episode, he dies. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Because I've watched all of the Jesse Ventura episodes, and they're talking about weapons or something, aren't they?
Yeah. That's it's a while ago since I've seen it now, but yeah, it's like the same story just repeats itself over and over again. It's like, you know, if you're the government and I have a problem with you, and as soon as I speak to anyone, well, you know, I've just been mugged or my car crashed. It's very strange.
Well, there you go. You know what I mean? My type of personality, mate, is to question why. Like, why would the government go to so much length to kill people to protect whatever it is, whatever information. You know what I mean? And there's so many people who report the same things, seeing the same objects in the sky, seeing the same beings. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people report the same things, same beings coming in, abducting them and stuff like that. And that's a different issue. But one of the arguments of that is these people just want attention. And I've always said, well, if you wanted attention, surely you would come up with a different story. Your story would be different to everyone else. Millions of people all over the world describe seeing the exact same things. Like when you get down into the details, they all describe the same thing. And I just find that very weird. Like, again, from a probability standpoint, I find it very weird how everyone's saying the same weird thing.
Yeah, well, I always found it weird that when anything happens, like if you go to the major kind of news channels, it's always some like crazy, like backtown, like Cletus type of person chewing straw. He's going, "Yep, I seen it." Yeah, you know, and instantly everyone goes, "Fuck off!" Like that's not real. Like look at this guy. This guy is supposed to be the expert, but too many people see him. But I think obviously the media can control what we see or what we're supposed to see.
Definitely, and the government control the media. You know what I mean? The government.
That's even Alex Jones was shut down a few weeks ago. He's no longer on the air. I don't know if you follow him.
I've seen a lot of his videos, and you know, just to kind of defend my standpoint and stuff like that. You know, I think I've got no idea what the hell the situation is with Alex Jones, but you know, a lot of people kind of think if you're into UFOs, you're exactly like Alex Jones, and just everything's a conspiracy. And I don't know if you know Eddie Bravo. Yeah. There's that one in particular episode when he's talking about flat Earth and stuff like this. And me as someone
just look into it. You got to look into it.
Just look into it, man. Joe's like, well, I have looked into it. What do you mean look into it, man? Like the Earth is not flat. No, it's it is annoying because I personally find if you don't believe in UFOs, right? If you either haven't looked into it or you have a lack of imagination. And I find a lot of people with a lack of imagination are generally the most skeptical people, like with a passion. Like there's a lot of what's the word? Animosity. There's a lot of animosity in the UFO field, and because I've had a lot of arguments with people over the years with this. I've believed it for 7 years, and generally people who are passionately against the belief of UFOs, number one, they haven't looked into it, and number two, they really don't have much of an imagination. They're not open-minded. They don't know how big the universe is and how likely it is life is out there. I just kind of think to myself, if life is literally so vast, it is teeming with life out there. I believe it's absolutely teeming. It's so vast that you know, if there is ever a point in the advancement of technology where you can just get from one place of the universe to another like that, if you can ever get there, that means there must be millions of civilizations who are doing it all of the time that they're doing it. If it is possible, that means literally millions of civilizations are doing it all of the time. And if that's the case, clearly, you know, they're here.
I always look at movies, like even if you look at old movies or like the old like Star Wars or even, I wasn't a fan of Star Trek, but those kind of shows and the things that they joked about back then are reality now. But back then, those ideas are too far-fetched for someone not to have seen someone or seen something or been fed, you know, like this is a possibility. Those seeds have to be planted somewhere. There's no way someone thought of, you know, being beamed up you know, into the spaceship or teleporting, or even how don't they pay in Star Trek? Don't they pay similar to Bitcoin now, where they just scan a code thing or to me, all that stuff has to come from somewhere. Because a normal person, even back then, can't think that far ahead. Like I remember,
go on, man.
Like I was going to say, look, when I was small, people thought that by now there would be flying cars. Like you weren't going to drive around. You were, like when I drew a car from the future when I was small, it was a flying car. But really, that window is so small, so I can't understand how someone even in like the 60s or 70s, could imagine a concept like Bitcoin. I know they didn't call it Bitcoin back then, but that kind of concept of I'll just scan this thing, like, whoop, I've paid for that, see you later.
Yeah.
You know, because
well, mate, you need to understand as well, you know, that I use these alien conspiracies to get to sleep every night, you know. So literally, I'm listening to a conspiracy video or a radio show or some sort of audio every single night. So I've got a massive amount of information, and you know, one thing I've found, because it's almost like you get little pieces of the puzzle. You'll hear one thing which will relate to something you heard like 18 months ago. You know what I mean? And then one thing will relate to this, and it's like piecing the puzzle together. And I've heard other UFO researchers talk of it like that as well. And you've got to, if you look back, right, there's certain moments in history. Sorry, man, I'm getting text off my girlfriend. She needs to come down into the kitchen. So I guess we'll have to wrap it up very soon, man.
No worries, no worries.
But in history, like, for example, here's the one off the top of my head. What's he called? Nikola Tesla, who invented the radio. This was a massive like technological milestone in human history, right? And he claims that he was getting like these mental downloads from aliens. That's what he said.
Right.
And there's been numerous times over the years where these big monumental technological advances, like the people who've had them have claimed that they were getting information fed to them, and it's just, I find it really bizarre. Like, I'm not saying I believe in it. I'm hearing all sorts of banging behind us here.
It's the government. They're coming for you.
Yeah, but I just find that out as well. Like, in terms of the advancements we've come as humanity. If you have a good look into it, there's some big moments in time where the people who were there at the time, like, for example, you know, Nikola Tesla, when he died, the government went into his place and confiscated all of the information, all of his documents and stuff like that. They just went in there and they took all of his information, because he was claiming that there was a way to harness the universe's energy. So there would be no coal, no oil, no nuclear power or anything like that. Now he was claiming there was a way to just use the universe's energy. And if you look into it, it almost seems like the government were doing everything they can to like stop that from happening.
Yeah, because obviously they make their profit off coal and oil, and
you know, the what do you call it, the energy industry is like a $300 trillion a year industry. And I'm going to have to go in a minute, but that's my theory. I guess I'll end on that, right? My theory, because people ask me this as well, why don't they tell me? Why don't UFOs land on the White House? You know what I mean? Yeah. My theory is this, and I don't know this, but this is what I've always thought, and it makes perfect sense to me. I think if UFOs were to be revealed by the government, people would then ask, well, how the hell are they getting here? What energy source are they using? And I suspect the energy source they are using would replace the $500 trillion industry they've already got going. So not only would it be, they would lose all the profit, but chances are the entire global economy would collapse.
Yeah,
because,
everything would change.
What I mean? I think in a way they are kind of protecting us because we're not ready for that type of collapse to happen. No. And also as well, if you can harness the universe's energy, and I know we're getting pretty deep and theoretical here, if you can harness the universe's energy, that would also mean that terrorists can build bombs much more powerful than nuclear bombs in the comfort of their own home, because they can harness the universe's energy and build these devices from home. I think that's another reason as well.
And on that bombshell.
So if I've got any followers left after that that crazy outburst there.
Mark Crosby debunked. It's the next video.
Oh, it'll be a YouTube channel now. Like,
no, mate, I really appreciate it. You coming on. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Like,
yeah, definitely. Come on again, and we'll dig a bit deeper.
We'll definitely have to continue this. Maybe we'll even do like a show, like a Wednesday conspiracy Wednesdays.
YBR conspiracies.
Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
We'll think of something catchy.
Yeah, definitely.
All
right, cool.
All right, guys. If you've been watching on Facebook, I appreciate your time. Leave a like. I will publish this on Monday to YouTube, so make sure you stop by and give it a like and leave a comment. If you'd like to be on the show, if you'd like to come on and have a chat with me, maybe you're afraid or you need some help to make your first content for Facebook or YouTube, send me a friend request, drop me a message, and even leave a comment under one of the videos, and we'll work something out and just jump on. I'm not here to put you on the spot or anything. We'll just have a super relaxed conversation and let the internet meet you. All right, guys. For me, thanks very much for tuning in. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you since I started 2.5 years ago. You've been an absolute rock to me, so I wouldn't be here without you. So thanks very much.
Appreciate that, Alan. Thanks very much for having me on, mate. And one more thing as well, if you're watching this and you are on the fence about joining Alan in Futurenet, obviously just get back to Alan and he'll be able to take you through his Yellow Brick Road system and show you exactly how to get set up and start making money every single day with this awesome company, which allows us to get paid every day. So thanks very much for having us on, mate. I do appreciate it. And,
anytime, pal. Anytime.
No bother, mate.
All right. Go let Danielle into the kitchen. And I'll chat to you soon. I'll chat to you tomorrow.
See you later.
All right. Be good, pal. Have a good night.
Good night. Ta-da.